or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Dave Payne, and for the next hour, we'll be reading from the August 16th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our first article is entitled, As Fresh as It Gets, What It's Like to Attend a Farm-to-Table Dinner. And there's a caption, a beautiful picture on here of a long table, many people seated at it. And there's a caption that says, guests enjoy a 5-course gourmet meal inspired by the Eden Cornfest at a long table set up in a field at Crown Hill Farm in Eden last Sunday. On to the article. Underneath, it's written by Francesca Bond. These are the kinds of beings you meet at a farm dinner. Sheep that act like dogs, a dog that acts like a sheep, free-range heritage chickens that are prettier and freer than most of us will ever be, a woman attending dinner by herself who wants to start a blog for rating restaurants based on how safe and friendly they are for women eating alone. A chef nitpicking his one mistake after pulling off one of the most creative meals I've ever seen. Not to spoil too much, but there's a squirt gun cervace and an abstract corn dog. A man proposing to his girlfriend. She said, "What?" And she said, "Yes." People talking about money and exhaustion. What Buffalo needs, what Buffalo has. That Buffalo is, say it with me, actually a nice place to live. The new Bills jerseys. Missy Singer Dumars, the curly-haired Renaissance woman who owns Crown Hill Farm in Eden, checked in on us during the second course. When she found us discussing the Bills jersey, she looked disappointed, then steered us toward a couple of more interesting topics. Have we heard about the new Women's Professional Baseball League? Or the Mongol Derby, a 621-mile-long horse race retracting Genghis Khan's mail routes through Mongolia? We may have been strangers before, but now, after buying a ticket to her farm dinner, which was $157 to $190 if you buy wine pairings, we're her dinner guests. Singer Dumars does not want to have a boring dinner. That would be impossible based on what she and the evening chefs Zach Rosenblum and J.B. Pakels of Jewish Deli Pop-Up Bloom and Rose have planned. We're getting a 5-course gourmet meal inspired by the Eden Cornfest, set to live banjo by a musician named Mikey Strongman, who describes himself online as, quote, like if Woody Guthrie was possessed by Tiny Tim, unquote. And we just finished a tour of the farm. It's allegedly haunted by a nice ghost named Mary. She was related to the inventors of the electric chair and may have been killed by her husband. We fed a few border Leicester sheep whose fleece Singer Dumars uses to make her own yarn. We walked through her vegetable garden, spotting some of the vegetables and edible flowers we'd eat for dinner. Someone asked about a plant with green shoots. Singer Dumars explains excitedly that they're a type of celebrated green onion from Catalonia, Spain. "Have you ever been to Catalonia?" asked a guest. "No," Singer Dumars said. "I hear about some weird vegetables, and I'm like, I got to get some of those seeds." Crown Hill Farm was one of two farm dinners that I attended over the weekend. I also visited Stillwater Farm in Boston for a 5-course meal by Jeremy Van Antwerp, who is better known as Chef Red Beard. The cost was $190, which including wine and or beer pairings. A farm dinner is sort of like a wedding and kind of like a restaurant with elements of a school field trip. It's a wedding without all the boring parts, said Jessica Selleck, a Stillwater Farm guest. Selleck also said that she follows chefs the way some people follow musicians. When chefs and farmers unite, the result is a meal that feels unrestrained in a setting that is as natural as can be. At Stillwater Farm, we walk by an orchard of young trees. Owner Jay Braymiller told guests that a portion of ticket sales fund an annual tree planting day. Families plant a tree in the memory orchard to honor their child who died from pediatric cancer. After the Braymillers introduced us to their goats, sheep, ponies, and pigs, they then rang a dinner bell calling us to our seats under a white pole tent. We pass Van Antwerp grilling pork chops over rosemary. Van Antwerp is a private dinner chef based on Chippewa Street. His Stillwater Farm dinner, which was also set to live music, acoustic guitar, and singing from Buffalo Music Hall of Fame member Jim Brucato, opened with earthly beets marinated in berries topped with strawberries, sheep's cheese, and pistachios, paired with white wine from the south of France. Van Antwerp tells us that he wastes few ingredients, repurposing scraps into marinades, saving a grill's pork fat to season grilled peaches. The next course was a chowder that's not a chowder, a bowl of charred corn and huge honey-glazed shrimp under a Fresno chili cream sauce paired with Sauvignon Blanc, tender fire-roasted lamb, and big old beans drizzled with mint chimichurri and served with tempranillo followed. Then came the pork from earlier, topped with grilled peaches and microgreens, served with zucchini and sweet potato, paired with Cabernet Sauvignon. Dessert was a blackberry and lemon curd tart in a flaky shortbread crust topped with a squiggle of toasted meringue and a few edible flowers served with a frizzy lambrusco. Selleck squealed at dessert. "It's so beautiful," she said. "This is why I don't even care if I come alone." At Crown Hill Farm, chefs Rosenblum and Pagels, who plan to open their first sit-down restaurant in Williamsville later this fall, served their reinterpretation of fair food. Last year, their farm dinner reimagined Renaissance Fair. A sculptural medieval cheesecake was shaped unprecedentedly like a turkey leg. Both chefs have fine dining backgrounds, but Rosenblum said he finds the food boring. This is their chance to experiment. It's a one-time-only meal. "That's the point," Rosenblum said. "We don't want to do this meal ever again." The first course was a charcuterie board of braided pretzel prosciutto from Darien's Always Something Farm, rolled Wagyu beef that is soft as butter from Clarence's Maple Row Farm, and Grabines, a rich and addictive Jewish dish of crispy chicken skins and chicken fat. Next was a salmon cervache served with a miniature squirt gun full of lime juice. Chickpea fritters, bursting tomatoes, corn, and peppery nasturtium flowers became a savory funnel cake inspired salad. After that came an extremely abstract corn dog, Wagyu beef and pork over a cornbread fritter topped with tomato demi-glaze, a plate of cold chocolate mousse, sugar cherries, and pulled sugar imitating dragon's beard cotton candy came last. Here are some other food events. Stillwater Farm will host a few more farm dinners this month on August 23rd and 30th and 31st. Crown Hill Farm has one more on September 6th. The chefs are always different. Other farms host dinners too. East Aurora's Herba Verde Farms already wrapped up its season. Goody Girl Flower Farm in Lockport is hosting a farm dinner August 19th. Terrar Kitchen and McCullum Orchards are hosting a farm dinner in Lockport on August 29th, but it's already sold out. Waxlight Bar Oven is hosting a dinner at Ola's Family Farm in Alden on September 20th. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, next we will move to the Things to Do column. And the caption headline is Sunflowers, Golden Girls, Raw returns, and the Actors Expo. This article is written by Tony Roberto. The sunflowers of Sanborn arrive every August with their happy golden hue, enticing visitors to a 100-acre Niagara County farm. It's free to walk among the sunflowers on a nice summer day. Call in advance if it's raining. The U-Pick field has more than 100,000 sunflowers in 18 varieties. The cost is $2 a sunflower, and they'll package them in water for the trip home. There are fees for some activities, such as corn maze and wagon rides, and for special events, including hot air balloon tethered rides on Thursday. Concessions are sold, and there is a general store to buy sunflower items. A craft show is Saturday and next Sunday, and a kids' day with princesses is August 29th and 30th. Sunflowers of Sanborn is at 3311 Saunders Settlement Road in Sanborn. The hours are 3 to 8 p.m. Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and 11 to 8 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays through Labor Day. After that, it will be open weekends in September as long as the sunflowers bloom. Call or visit sunflowersofsanborn.com. There's a nice picture of a sunflower in this article. Okay, the next item is The Golden Girls, The Lost Episodes 8. This is through August 30th in Shea Smith Theater at 654 Main Street. The Golden Girls TV series ended more than 30 years ago, yet Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, and Sophia remain so popular that their faces are on kitchenware and clothing in local stores. You'll see them on stage too. The 8th installment of The Golden Girls, The Lost Episodes, is the next chapter of David Serta's popular parody stage show produced by O'Connell and Company. Volume 8, Say Cheese, stars Joey Bukaker, Brian Shari, Michael B.B. Blaisdell, and Matthew Rittler. Shows are at 7:30 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays and 2 p.m. Sundays through August 30th. Visit shays.org. Also, Voci d'Amour, the music of Andrea Bocelli. That's from 4 to 7 p.m. today outside Tapo Restaurant at 338 Ellicott Street. The Summer of Jazz is a free afternoon outdoor concert series that has lived up to its name, with music ranging from Latin jazz to the Great American Songbook to swing music. That variation has been intentional. Jazz Buffalo Executive Director Tony Zamito said, "If we're going to encourage people to experience downtown Buffalo, we need to give them different reasons to come." Next up is Jay Dreff, who has toured with Sarah Brightman and Carolyn Lansam, singing the romantic music of the great Andrea Bocelli and beyond. Broadway veteran Don Rebick is the musical director. Also, WWE Raw, which is at 7:30 p.m. Monday at KeyBank Center. World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns returns to Buffalo for this edition of Raw that will be broadcast live at 8 p.m. via Netflix. Just announced for the Buffalo card are 2 first-round matches in the Contenders Tournament to challenge Reigns for his belt. Rey Fénix will battle El Fiscal. Dragon Lee will face El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Other scheduled appearances include Oba Femi, Liv Morgan, The Usos, Jacob Fatu, Chad Gable, The Vision, LA Knight, The Street Profits, Penna, and Javon Evans. Also, theater night at the ballpark. Game is at 6:30 p.m. Friday at Salen's Field. The Buffalo Bison celebrate the 100th anniversary of Shays Buffalo Theater at this Friday night bash. The evening also spotlights the local theater community, including Musical Fair Theater, Road Less Traveled Productions, Second Generation Theater, Theater of the Youth, and Deauville's Karaoke Theater. A resurgent brewing happy hour is from 5 to 6:30 p.m., followed by the Bisons playing the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs at 6:35 p.m. Tickets will be given away to the Broadway series and other local productions. Stick around for post-game fireworks. Also, Casting Buffalo Actors Expo, which is from noon to 7 p.m. Saturday at the Atrium at Rich's at 1 Robert Rich Way. This is the 4th year for the Actors Expo, an event that continues to expand in tandem with the growing Buffalo film industry. The idea is to support those wishing to work in the film industry through workshops, seminars, exhibitors, and networking opportunities with industry professionals. This year, there is special programming for parents whose children wish to act. Omar Gooding, an actor and comedian who hosted the Nickelodeon show Wild and Crazy Kids, will share his top 10 rules of do's and don'ts for children and parents in the entertainment industry. Caroline Parzi Sanders, and Melanie Stang will each lead an educational seminar under the Parent Playbook to help parents navigate their children's career. Also joining the expo this year is the always entertaining Buffalo-born actor Patrick Galo. Other workshops and seminars are on stunts, improv, producing and directing indie features, and the cleverly titled The Act of Hurry Up and Wait, the art of being a great background performer, presented by Glenn Kane. Casting Buffalo's Peter Johnson and Henry Lipsitz will be joined by acting coach and casting director Frank Rossi and talent agent Darlene Pickering Hummert for an industry casting panel. For more information, visit castingbuffalo.com. Also, Analog Rewind. It's at 5 p.m. Saturday in the Art Park Main Stage Terrace in Lewiston. If you were around the Buffalo music scene in the 1990s, you know it was a special time. Not only could you hear a fantastically diverse selection of original music, but there was a real sense of community. This reunion concert, curated by former Buffalo News music critic Jeff Myers, celebrates that time while also raising money for Art Park's Memory Cafe. I was part of that scene as a musician, but I was also a huge fan of so many of the bands, said Myers, a guitarist with The Tales. It wasn't uncommon for us to attend each other's gigs on the regular, which created a real feeling of community and togetherness. This concert features 5 influential bands from the scene: Ansley Court, Girl Pope, Marvelous Sauce, the Ramrods, and The Tales. For more information, visit artpark.net. And also a few more events. The Slow Roll Buffalo is happening from 6 to 9 p.m. Monday, beginning at Kleinhans Music Hall. For more info, go to slowrollbuffalo.org. Saw the Musical continues through August 13th at Alleyway Theater. For more info, go to alleyway.com. Kalani Durand Bernard, the artist, Wasil and Dixon, is at 6:30 p.m. Monday at Darien Lake Amphitheater. Blues Traveler, Gin Blossoms, and the Spin Doctors are happening at 6 p.m. Tuesday at the Erie County Fair Grandstand. Andy Grammer with Walk Off the Earth, 7 p.m. Friday in the Art Park at Amphitheater Lewiston. And some just announced events. Jermaine Dupree Beauflau Music and Arts Celebration, Sunday at Silo City. For more info, go to beauflauvmusicarts.com. That's BEAUFLEUVEMUSICARTS.com. Also, The Last Waltz, 6:30 p.m., November 20th in Asbury Hall at Babeville. This is presented by the Sportsman's Americana Music Foundation. Rebecca Magnuson, she sings. 11:30 a.m. September 9th at the Garrett Club at 91 Cleveland Avenue. Pentatonics, Christmas in the City, happening 7 p.m. on November 18th at KeyBank Center. Frankie Cinta Holiday Show, 8 p.m. December 4th at the Bears Den Showroom, the Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino in Niagara Falls. The tickets start at $55. For more information, visit SenecaNiagaraCasino.com. And lastly, Jim Belushi and the Board of Comedy, happening 7:30 p.m. January 9th at the West Her Riviera Theater in North Tonawanda. Visit rivieratheater.org. have several shows that are going to be featured at the Riviera Theater. We'll start by Dolly Parton's Dolly's Country Christmas, the hits of the holidays. This was just announced. Tickets are on sale this Friday, 8/21 at 10 a.m. The show is on December 18th at 7:30 p.m. All seats are $20. Again, that's entitled Dolly's Country Christmas, happening on December 18th at 7:30 p.m. But in August, we have several shows as well. In August, we'll have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's a free family film series. That's August 26th at 1 p.m. Also in August, we have Queen Nation. This is on August 28th, 29th, and 30th. All tickets are $20. And we have Sinatra and Streisand, a tribute to Barbara and Frank. This is August 21st at 7:30 p.m. Tickets $20. Also, REO Survivor and Company, a tribute to REO, Loverboy, and Survivor. This is August 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Tickets $25. And moving into September. On September 2nd, we have the Pop 2000 Tour, which we have Ofus, O-Town, LFO, Ryan, Cabfera. This is September 2nd at 7:30 p.m. All tickets are $39. The Ultimate Doors, a tribute to the Doors, on September 4th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets $20. Shady, a live band tribute to Eminem, September 11th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $20. And on September 12th, the Little River Band tribute with special guest Cami Clune. September 12th, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are starting at $59. And on September 19th at 7:30 p.m., Absolute Adele with Jennifer Sella. Tickets are $29. And on September 25th and 26th, we have Resurrection, which is a Journey tribute. Tickets are $20. And into October, a few shows. Double Vision, The Foreigner Experience. This is on October 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $20. And on October 3rd, Mike Duguch. All tickets are $39. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, now we will read from the television column. This is written by Alan Bergamont. This is what I'm thinking. The Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame had to call an audible over when to hold its annual induction dinner. The original date of September 17th had a significant conflict. That is the date of the Buffalo Bills' regular season home opener in Highmark Stadium against the Detroit Lions on Prime Video's Thursday Night Football. It also is airing locally on WKBW TV, Channel 7. Realizing attendance would be impacted by the game, the hall changed its date to October 21st. WGRZ TV, Channel 2 veteran anchor Scott Levin, former Empire Sports Network general manager Bob Kosinski, and longtime television and radio personality John Summers headline the the Hall of Fame class. The 6-member class includes former local radio and television reporter Sandy Kozel, Jamestown broadcaster Dennis Webster, and WKBW TV photojournalist Rick Swenson. In addition, 3 special awards will be given at the induction ceremony celebrating 30 years of excellence at Salvatore's Italian Gardens on Transit Road in Depew. The date change may mean Buffalo native Diane English, the writer-creator of the CBS hit series Murphy Brown and several other series and movies, won't be able to receive the Arts and Broadcasting Award in person. Tim Clark, a former director of news operations at WKBW TV and managing news editor for WGRZ, will receive a special award for his work as the commissioner of the Buffalo Niagara Film Office for 2 decades. And Marilyn Pfister, who became the first woman to be a director at Channel 7 and produce several programs there, will receive the President's Award. Next, Taken Down, one of the top WKBW TV stories online Monday, had the headline, "A Safe Space for Everybody. Sage Beauty Company in Blaisdell offers one-stop shop for hair services." It sure read more like an advertisement than a news story. Perhaps that is why Channel 7 later took the embarrassing story off its website. Next, sports TV deals can be as confusing as goalie interference calls in the National Hockey League. A case in point is the recent announcement of that MSG Networks and Yes Network have entered a partnership that will make DAZN, the world's leading sports entertainment platform, the exclusive direct-to-consumer streaming home of MSG Networks and Yes Network during the 2026-2027 NBA and NHL seasons. The release stated that subscribers within the networks' respective regional coverage territories will have access to live Yankees, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, Islanders, and Sabres games, as well as 24/7 feeds of the MSG, MSG Sportsnet, and Yes Networks, and a wealth of on-demand content, including highlights, behind-the-scenes programming, and Emmy Award-winning original series. Subscribers who receive MSG Networks or the Yes Network as part of their pay TV subscription will continue to receive MSG and Yes content as applicable via the DAZN platform at no additional cost, according to the release. Current users of the Gotham Sports app will continue to receive uninterrupted access to the content they love as Yes and MSG prepared to migrate users to DAZN during the 2026-2027 NBA and NHL seasons. Exact timing and other details of the migration will be announced in the coming months, the release stated. Some readers of the release mistakenly thought that meant Western New Yorkers would be able to watch New York Islanders, New York Rangers, and New Jersey Devils games in addition to Buffalo Sabres games. Not so. In an email, Xander Berlinski, Senior Vice President of Strategy and Business Development at DAZN, explained the restrictions in terms of which teams are available in which zip code will be the same as they were per league rules. He also explained that it doesn't significantly change anything for Spectrum and DirecTV subscribers who currently receive MSG and Yes. He said once the service moves to DAZN, Spectrum and DirecTV subscribers who receive MSG and Yes through their TV subscriptions won't have to pay anything more to enter the DAZN app with their cable login to receive MSG and YES content. And a bit of news, it's been an extremely difficult year for Buffalo native Greg Papa, the Williamsville East graduate who was in the same Syracuse University class as versatile announcer Sean McDonough, who was his roommate. Papa, who has been the voice of the San Francisco 49ers for KNBR Radio since 2019, underwent a bone marrow transplant this spring after being diagnosed with leukemia almost a year ago. He was pictured in what appeared to be a hospital bed wearing a Buffalo Sabres hat with a Sabres jacket around him in a story in Barrett Media addressing whether he will return to the air. The story noted he has gone home cancer-free after he faced life-threatening complications including collapsed lungs, blood clots, and a 78-day hospital stay. It added that doctors are unsure whether he'll have enough lung capacity after rehab to be able to return to calling games. Papa told the San Francisco Chronicle he could return to his midday KNBR talk show from his remote studio, which he did last year while undergoing chemotherapy. My doctors told me that 95% of people would have died from what I went through, Papa told the newspaper. They looked me in the eye and said, "We don't know whether you will ever get out of here." My recovery was remarkable, so I will not say I cannot do it. However, Papa was recently one of the cuts announced by Cumulus Media. Sources told Barrett Media that KNBR would be interested in Papa's return if his health improves. Also, belated congratulations to Heidi Raphael, the former president of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, who was recently named executive director of the New York State Broadcasters Association. Raphael, who was among the 50 most influential women in radio, named by Radio Inc., recently has been the chief communications officer of Beasley Media Group. A graduate of the former Medaille College, Raphael may be best remembered locally for her on-air work in the 1980s at 97 Rock, WHTT-FM, WGR-AM, and WECK-AM. Another Channel 2 note, the initial impression of new meteorologist Sarah Kress is very favorable. The Wilson native, who replaced Jennifer Stanonis on Channel 2's weather team, gives a very clear forecast in a pleasant, easygoing manner. Her presentation would be even better if she had a stronger broadcasting voice. Kress most recently worked at a station in Medford, Oregon, that serves southern Oregon and northern California. It is a big jump up in the market size for Kress. Medford is the number 139th TV market in the country, while Buffalo is the number 54th. Kress has been with the ABC affiliate in Medford for 2 years. She graduated from Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in atmospheric sciences. Inquiring minds also want to know where his former Channel 2 reporter Alyssa Closell landed. She left Channel 2 weeks ago and now is a multimedia journalist at WTSP in Tampa, Florida, which has the same owner as WGRZ. Another former Channel 2 reporter, Andy Payden, also works at the Tampa station. Many members of the Northwest Arena crowd in Jamestown, attending NBC late-night host Seth Meyers' excellent performance for the National Comedy Center last Sunday, certainly could relate to his difficulties getting there in time for the 5 p.m. performance. He told the audience that his flight from Boston was delayed for 5 hours, and he made it about 30 minutes before he was scheduled to perform and didn't have time for a tour of the Comedy Center beforehand. Myers had an excellent and relatable mix of jokes about his wife and three children, along with some jokes about President Trump's obsession with taking shots at him. He noted that World War II only ended once, contrasting it to President Trump's periodic declarations that the Iran war was over. Myers, who was 52, made several jokes about how aging has impacted him, including happiness about doing the Jamestown show at 5 p.m. rather than later in the evening. But my favorite moment came when he told the crowd that one of his father's favorite shows also is mine, the Paramount Plus series with the genetic title of Landman, starring Billy Bob Thornton. I am told that Myers had a chance to tour the Comedy Center after his performance before he had to catch another flight. I hope he didn't discover again. It is often better to travel by land, man. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We'll now move on to the books column. This is written by Eric Peterson and Sarah Botcha from the Orange County Register. Few things boost a sleeker summer look than a slim 200-page novel, and while not all of the offerings here are that brief, several are, and you have to imagine this trend might have to do with the desire to tell a compelling story with an economy of words, or it might be because it's a little easier to hold a short book aloft with one hand as you recline, sipping a cool, fruity beverage in the other. Maybe that's just us. In any case, here are 17 new books coming from some favorite authors as well as debut writers you can pick up at your local independent bookstore or at the airport as you make your way out of town to some end of summer getaway. So, what books available now? First one's entitled The Amateur, written by Chris Bajalian. Set in the 1970s, the latest novel by the author of multiple bestsellers, including The Flight Attendant, deals with the repercussions of a freak accident in which a teen golf prodigy accidentally kills a caddy with an errant ball, and a deluge of secrets comes pouring forth. Next is Etna, written by Paul Yoon. A working canine that served alongside soldiers in a bloody war takes off in search of a home that may not exist. Think The Odyssey, but with a dog instead of Matt Damon. Also, next is The Ego Trip, written by Kaiman DeGraff. Journalist DeGraff explores a true crime story that involves claims of secret rituals, a psychedelic god molecule, and the growth of so-called toad medicine and its effects on those who are drawn into its world. Next, The Witches of Cambridge, written by Alice Hoffman. Who's ready for a new series by the author of Practical Magic? All of us? Set at Radcliffe College during the 1950s, the novel weaves together a story that includes McCarthyism, secret societies, witches, and witch hunts. Next, Meet Me in the Garden, written by Nina LaCour. From the 2017 Pritzker Award winner comes a historical fiction book about a Creole family in the 1940s, New Orleans and Los Angeles, inspired by LaCour's own family and the Great Migration. Next is A Tender Age, written by Chang-Ra Lee. An award-winning author returns with a coming-of-age story about a Korean American preteen, the child of immigrant parents, and the events that unraveled during a summer of church camp. Also, Exhumed, written by Aaron Mahnke. Sometimes history can be quite grim or grim, and no one knows that better than lore podcaster Mahnke. In Exhumed, Unearthing the History of the American Vampire, he explores the real case of Mercy Brown and the Great New England Vampire Panic in the 1890s. Also, Fright, written by Ryan Lowell. Author Lowell spent more than a decade in the trucking business, and his fast-paced debut novel involves a semi-truck full of drugs and a cast of characters trying to get their hands on it. Next is The Blue Flame, written by George Pelecanos, one of the best crime writers working in any medium. The prolific novelist and screenwriter of The Wire, The Deuce, and Trim brings his Washington, D.C. private investigator Derek Strange back for a new case involving drugs, greed, and revenge. Also, Sunrise, written by Taye Obrecht. The latest from the author of The Tiger's Wife brings three strangers' stories together who become connected by the ghost town of Sunrise and the secrets it holds between 1902 and 2024. Next is Killing Sadie, written by Rachel Peterson. In this debut novel from a new name in young adult thrillers, a party turns deadly and is recounted by unreliable narrators, the teens who witnessed the murder. Also, Triage by Claudia Rankine. Rankine, who won the National Book Critics Circle Award for Poetry in 2015 for Citizen, an American lyric, returns with a personal narrative sparked by attending the lecture of a once close college friend that reevaluates those early days and what's happened since. Also, Dragonlance, War Wizard, written by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. The first book in the Dragonlance Chronicles, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, inspired by the Dungeons & Dragons game, was published more than 40 years ago. The latest from the original authors, Weiss and Hickman, kicks off a prequel trilogy, making it perfect for newbies and veterans, fantasy readers alike. Also, we have Reliquary, written by Hannah Whitten. Known for her fantasy writing, Whitten dips into the atmospheric horror with Reliquary, which follows a grieving woman who realizes her late fiancé's family is keeping dark secrets. And coming out on August 18th, The Maltese Version, written by Katie Simpson Smith. Realizing she might be pregnant, Leonie enlists her friend, a travel writer, to track down the errant father Max, who dropped off the map and stopped answering her messages, sometimes after reaching the Mediterranean island of Malta. And coming out on August 25th, Makeshift, written by Peter Rock, set on a small island off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. The novel tells a story of three sisters who believe they're the last humans on Earth. And lastly, also coming out on August 25th, The Devil Knows Her Name, written by C.N. Vere. A new name in the game takes a stab at Appalachian horror. In her debut novel, Vere asks what happens when you're willing to make a deal with the devil not once, but twice. Okay, we will now read from the television column. Television review. There's a Nepo thriller, 80s teen stir-up drama and campy Ryan Murphy series The Shards. This article is written by Bruce Miller from Lee Enterprises. It was inevitable producer Ryan Murphy and author Bret Easton Ellis would join forces at some point. Murphy has told stories about teens for years, and Ellis has danced around secrets and murders in a handful of books. Put them together and you get The Shards, a look at the 90210 set in the 1980s and their obsession with status. To goose the concept, Murphy cast the children of the 80s celebrities to give this a double-edged point. Initially, the limited series just introduced the characters, a writer named Bret, who's something of a stand-in for Ellis. He wants to move into the movie world sooner than it seems possible, but there are plenty of barriers for his Mercedes-level ambition. His girlfriend, Debbie, is the daughter of a movie mogul and his pill-popping wife. Their best friend, Susan, is the school's queen bee, matched with the star jock, Thom. They spend countless hours smoking cigarettes and driving fast, and then a newcomer, Robert, enters the picture and upsets the not-so-norms. Once the stage is set, Murphy kicks in the camp and lampoons the lifestyles, the clothing, the secrets. Shards seems pretty straightforward until Debbie's dad's assistant, Stephen, emerges. He plants the doubt and stirs the pot. Roth, a Broadway producer, is so good as the Warhol. Roth, Stephen is played by Jordan Roth. Roth, a Broadway producer, is so good as the Warhol-like manipulator, you long to see him pop up in any number of situations. He's fairly compliant and watch-worthy. The rest of the series is reheated Dynasty, as costumed by early-day Ralph Lauren. A serial killer called the Trawler begins tormenting Los Angeles and, of course, gets into the closed community. Then it becomes a matter of figuring out who's the likely culprit. Before the confrontation, there's a homecoming battle, dramas involving Debbie's dad, played with Paul Michael Glaser, gusto by Wes Bentley, and Mom, who's played by Evan Rachel Wood, and a few close encounters with Bret. While Gerber is a doppelganger for her mom, Cindy Crawford Gare doesn't remind you of his dad, Richard. He's the wild card tossed in the deck and a lust object of sorts for Bret. Because Rigney seems so much older than the others, it's difficult to view him as a high schooler with goals. Still, Murphy and company are able to fill this with plenty of 80s totems, including Giorgio perfume, Cartier tank watches, and those oh-so-current video cassette players. He borrows some of his American Horror Story tricks too, and reminds you what seemed important more than 40 years ago. The Shards isn't as compelling as the original 90210, which made children of the rich and famous attractive before reality television appeared, but it could be remembered as the series that launched a big performing career for Roth. He's the real one to watch. The Shards airs on FX and streams on Hulu. Okay, finish up with an article from the Taste column. This is a recipe for tacos. Try these tacos stuffed with grilled Cajun seasoned shrimp. Give juicy shrimp tacos a Cajun flavor spin with spices and quick sear on a hot grill. An easy avocado mash adds creaminess to cool off the spicy kick. So the ingredients are 1 ripe avocado, 1 tablespoon lime juice, 1 small clove garlic grated, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1 pound large shrimp, the 16 to 20 count, peeled and deveined, 2 tablespoons salt-free Cajun spice blend, 8 corn tortillas worm, 2 bags iceberg lettuce chopped, a 1/2 cup fresh cilantro leaves, a 1/2 cup prepared pico de gallo. The directions: preheat grill to medium-high, mash the avocado with a fork in a small bowl, add lime juice, garlic, and salt, and stir to combine. Pat the shrimp dry. Toss the shrimp with the Cajun seasoning in a medium bowl. Thread it onto 4 10 to 12-inch metal skewers. Grill, turning once until the shrimp are just cooked through, about 4 minutes total. Serve the shrimp in tortillas topped with the guacamole, lettuce, cilantro, and pico de gallo. The nutrition information on this is 286 calories, 9 grams total fat, 1 gram saturated fat, 159 milligrams cholesterol, 30 gram carbohydrates, 7 gram fiber, 4 gram total sugars, 24 gram protein, 443 milligrams sodium, 662 milligram potassium, 2 milligram iron, 55 milligram folate, 118 milligram calcium, 492 individual units vitamin A, and 9 milligrams. This recipe was featured in Eating Well magazine. Eating Well is a magazine and website devoted to healthy eating as a way of life. Online, you can find more information at www.eatingwell.com. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the August 16th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News. We read from the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News every Sunday at noon. Your reader has been Dave Payne. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the front section of the Sunday Times. At 2 o'clock, we have the New York Times Opinion section. And at 3 o'clock, we have the New York Times Arts and Leisure section. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Siro, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning